Testing, check 1, check 2, check 3, check 4. Hello, this is Drake from the DZN Podcast. I am here today to shout out to our 39th episode, whatever the name of this is. And I have a guest. State your name for the people, sir.
Hi, I'm Sergio. I'm Sergio.
All right. And we're going to get to this music like always, so let's get it. DZN Podcast. DZN Podcast. DZN Podcast. DZN Podcast. Looking out the window. Doing what I do though. It's the DZN Podcast. Where we talk what we do though. DZN Podcast. DZN Podcast. DZN Podcast. DZN Podcast. DZN Podcast. Sergio Dre on the mic. DZN Podcast. With Serge in the building. Episode 39. You know what we doing. DZN Podcast. DZN Podcast. DZN Podcast. DZN Podcast. It's the DZN Podcast. Shout out to everybody that's listening to the podcast. DZN Podcast, doing what we do. It's the DZN Podcast. DZN Podcast. DZN Podcast. DZN Podcast, doing what we do because the DZN Podcast. DZN Podcast. DZN Podcast. DZN Podcast. Yo. DZN Podcast. DZN Podcast. DZN Podcast, episode 39, DZN Podcast. Retro Dre on the mic. Spitting what I fucking like. DZN Podcast. DZN Podcast.
Is that your beat?
Yeah.
Fuck it wasn't, bro.
Yes,
there ain't no way. There's just no, bro.
I can show you the file, son. Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Yes.
No.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
Dude. That shit crazy.
Yeah. First of all, hold on, I need the mic a little bit closer to you, sir.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, like I said, I told you this is what I do, man.
That's insane, bro.
This is what I do. But all right, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. You know, just trying to figure things out. You know, just like everybody else nowadays. You know, we're just coming back from Corona or whatnot, or I think we are. I don't know. You know, with everything going on, I'm not even really sure what has changed or how things are gonna go back. Just because we thought we had a plan A, but you know, with the whole George Floyd thing, you know, nobody says it. I know nobody says it. I think we all know. None of the media or like media sources are talking about how like big of a deal these large groups of protesters are for like the Corona situation, despite like it being like, you know, a totally great reason for it to happen. It's just, you know, it's just, you know, it's so unfortunate that we had to have that happen at such a time like this with the whole pandemic and everything. So, well, what are your thoughts on that?
Then to your point about Corona and the George Floyd combination, then you have to ask, how serious is Corona?
Exactly. That's
how serious do people take it? Because if it was that serious, protests wouldn't be happening, you know?
Yeah, and the fact that they still allow the protests to happen, yeah, like you said,
makes you want to ask some questions.
You know, the funny thing is like everybody was making little jokes, and you would see memes about how Donald Trump or the government or whatnot were all behind this. Out of nowhere, a real issue comes out of the woodworks. You know,
supposedly real issue.
I mean, I think it's a real issue. I'm not talking about Corona. I meant like, you know, the George Floyd, you know.
What I mean by supposedly real is fabricated.
Fabricated.
Let me break it down. So it comes out the two dudes know each other. Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
It is interesting.
It happens to be about a couple weeks after Ahmad Aubrey dies, which died in February. He died in February, but it got reported in May. So why was that so long of a wait?
What do you mean?
You know,
the person that got
the other dude, Ahmad Aubrey, the dude, he got killed in February, and they reported it in May.
Oh, okay. This is just like another situation similar to like George Floyd and.
You didn't hear about him?
No, I didn't hear.
So Ahmad Aubrey was a guy. He was jogging one day in Georgia, and there was two white dudes. Mm-hmm. It was a father and his son. I don't know if they were ex-officers or not. I forgot. But while he was jogging, they shot and killed him. There was a tussle, and then they shot and killed him.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Somebody mentioned it to me. It was like a son and a dad. Mm-hmm. They're just like, I couldn't. I don't get that. I don't get that.
Yeah, it makes you want to ask, like, why did they wait so long to report it? And then it happens to be like kind of right after each other, him and then George Floyd. And then it comes out the cop and George Floyd knew each other. They used to work together. So it's like, all right.
Yeah.
Out of all the people that has died by police this year, y'all decided to put those two on national news. Because we all know, or maybe don't know, that it's a bunch of other people getting killed by cops.
It's less than a fraction of what the people that are actually getting killed and
exactly
not.
So why do they want to show these?
You know, this is off topic but still on topic. But like crazy conspiracy theory that my friend told me, and this man was drunk. To defend him, like in his defense, he said. The government doesn't care about protesters going out and getting, putting themselves in danger and harm's way, like in regards to the coronavirus, because, most of the protesters that are rioting and all that are doing, whatever crazy videos you're seeing, most of them are African American. And the issue is that, white people or some white people are still, holding that racism or whatnot, African American color, against them for whatever reason. And it wouldn't be surprised me if the government just didn't care for that reason. And I was like, I mean, you're drunk and that's crazy. But, like you said, is it the fact that Corona isn't as big of a deal as it is? Or is it that they don't really care for the people that are putting themselves in harm's way?
Two things can be true.
It could be one or the other,
Or both.
Or both. Exactly.
But the thing about the protest that's funny to me is it's not a lot of so-called black faces on TV. You see a lot of white and other races that are shown about the protest than black people. Because I didn't even notice till the other day. I could be wrong about these numbers or whatnot because numbers are whatever anyway.
Numbers can be fabricated.
That it's like an 80-20 to white and black people in North Carolina.
Seriously.
From what I heard on the news, I was like, okay. Makes sense, but I didn't know it was that. It was 80-20. I thought it could have been at least 60-40 or 70-30.
I mean, I could believe it, but it is questionable whether those numbers are true.
And now they started to bring out the numbers of African Americans and minorities are the ones that are contracting corona the most, which is okay, that's interesting. They decided to put that out to do what? They're going to try to blame us for this now? Now what they're going to try to do?
Who knows?
So, it's an interesting time, I will say that. And it's a lot of questionable things going around as far as numbers, ideologies, and situations. Because what I'm starting to notice is a lot of this stuff has been planned, and a lot of this stuff is made to create narratives.
Yeah.
And that's not even just for the news. entertainment, music, art, of course, movies and such, but your so-called favorite rappers really just actors playing actors. And actors, of course, are just actors playing actors. Everybody's acting because everything's already written out in the storyline. They're just putting it out. But most people don't know that. So people are going to get sucked into different movements and different ideologies that they don't even know what they're really standing for. Because, fun fact, Black Lives Matter is actually funded by a white dude named George Soros. Fun fact.
Wow. I did not know that.
So if y'all want to do y'all research, look up who George Soros is. And
is he a philanthropist, I'm guessing?
He is a billionaire philanthropist
that
funds.
Nice.
Until you look at what types of groups he funds and what he funds.
I see. I know what you're saying. That goes back to like a bunch of celebrities and businessmen using this time and taking advantage of it to increase their popularity by supporting the Black Lives Matter movement, even though some of them don't care.
But he funds it.
Yeah.
So every time somebody says Black Lives Matter, all this stuff is going towards a white dude's pocket. So we don't even own our own movement. And the term black really means nothing because it's a color. It doesn't define what our lineage is and what tribe we come from. So every time we use black, we're really just calling ourselves a color, which doesn't make any sense. Which really just means we're nothing when you use black. Because we don't know our own culture because it got wiped out. And we don't know where we really come from. So we just stuck saying black, 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 black when we're really shouting out what color we are, which doesn't make any sense because we're not a color. Or at least that color anyway, if you want to define yourself by a color. We come from a tribe of somewhere, we just don't know where. Could be America, could be Asia, could be China, could be Europe. Who knows?
Seriously. You never know.
And then we got the lie we've been told since youth, all black people come from Africa, knowing that's not true. So, you know. But we are in the year 2020 vision.
2020.
Which means we're going to see things and hear about things that we never thought.
2020 will go down in the books for sure.
Yeah.
We'll go down in the books. I will say this, and I mean, I think we can all agree with it. If you're an African American, like this year, your life is different. I don't know how. It just is. Like, for instance, I know a lot of like, all right, I wouldn't say I know a lot, but I know a few African American friends who like applied to college this year. And I remember them telling me about how they were going to write their essay about how like their life as a black person has been difficult and how they've had to overcome certain advantages.
Black person, so-called African American. Those labels are not true for most. Those are just a certain African American, at least anyway. That's just a certain section, and none of us are really black. But that's just from years of conditioning and such, you know.
Yeah.
That's gonna take a while to break, but whatever.
Yeah. No. Yeah. If you're I think, like you said, back to the narrative point, I was just thinking back to it, or I was thinking about it a few days ago. You know, like, I totally agree with how like narratives are already there, and that there are a bunch of people in the world who are powerful and etc. that already know ahead of time what is going to happen and how it's going to happen. And the reason I say that is because it's just like, how is it that some people are just so prepared and some people just aren't? I feel that like the way, like, for instance, I heard this other day, it was like a commercial. It was like a commercial to get credit, like to get a loan. And it was talking about how people need it now more than ever. People are literally going into their funds, their savings accounts, and taking out loans just to get through this coronavirus. Small businesses can't hold up. Big businesses are buying out small businesses and taking that from them. And people who are going through gentrification right now at their worst. So they're going to have to move into poor neighborhoods. And, you know, the people with more money will move into the richer neighborhoods, and it'll just go so on and so on. It's just like, you know, it's like, why is all these, like, the world is in chaos, or it's what most people would like to consider as of right now for how it's been most recently. And like, why is it that only like the really big companies and like powerful people are benefiting from it? Like, you're supposed to be helping the other people, but like, it's almost like, I don't know, like.
Well, this country was not made on helping people. This country was made to rule with money, power, and war. Take, take, take. Don't give unless you have to. Or you want to, rather. So, it's just a misconception on what life is about from other people's perspective, what they tell you life's supposed to be about, than what life really is about.
And I got a question. What do you like? What is your take on? What is your take on like? Essentially, what is your take on with? I don't really know how to word this question correctly without sounding like biased or whatnot. But what's your take on like we just had this Michael Jordan documentary, right? Probably the biggest, most viewed documentary of this entire decade, without a doubt. And I think the biggest thing about this guy, Michael Jordan, that's haunted him from his whole life is that even though he was perfect, he wasn't perfect. And we all know that we're just referring to he wasn't perfect as he wasn't, politically correct all the time, or he wasn't the patriotic, perfect image that everybody wanted to defend rights and all that. But for all of a sudden, now he's doing it. And I just talked to my friend Connor, he's a golfer who plays for golf at our college. And I just so happened to ask him, I was like, oh, great, what did Tiger say? And he was like, Tiger doesn't speak on things like this, so don't expect him to say anything. And in that moment, I was just like, I don't get it, like what are, because right now y'all probably like there are probably like 10 African American billionaires, maybe like 11 in the world, like I don't know. I just feel like that's a lot of powerful people to only hear one of them speak up like that.
Well, personally, I think people shouldn't be looking at athletes or celebrities that actually give them advice on what they need to do during times like this, because they don't know just as much as some other people do. And even if they did, the people that sponsor them, if they don't allow them to speak on it, they won't speak on it. And if it hurts their brand, they're not going to speak on it. That's not Mike or Tiger's brand. You're going to hear somebody like Kaepernick say something about this. Ironically, you never physically see him. He just says stuff on social media, but that's another topic for another day. You hear him talk about it. You'll hear somebody like Killer Mike talk about it from the rap sphere. And people like Stephen A. Smith on TV talk about it. But you never know who they really align with, because they're paid to talk about stuff like that, and that's part of their brand. Now, how they really are outside of that public persona, some people will probably be surprised who they really be voting for, really talking about. So that's why I kind of have that stance on we shouldn't be worrying about what anybody has to say about certain things in general, unless they have proper knowledge on the situation, but especially athletes and actors and whatnot, because they just have a lot of influence, but for what they do, not what they stand for, so to speak. So,
I see. Well, another random question is, I talked to my other friend about this. I was like, is this our civil rights movement? Like, is this our year? Are we going to have some type of civil, I wouldn't say war, but some type of civil, like, change, some type of, like, something. And he pretty much told me, Oh yeah, no, he pretty much told me. He said, I mean, I could totally see it, but you know, he essentially what he said was, I don't see a Martin Luther King, or I don't see like any special person that will lead it and be like, a promising figure. I mean, we have there's Obama, but Obama's already out of office, and it's not his, role to do that. I don't know. I just feel like, there was Martin Luther King, and like, like we have like protesters, we have the black screen, like, like I personally laughed at that. I looked at a black screen. I was like, like, what?
They got y'all again, man.
I was like, what? Y'all again. I was like, where's the I have a dream speech, or the modern I have a dream speech? Where's that at?
They got y'all again with the black screen, man. All the black screen did was hide y'all for a day. That's all that did, and y'all fell for it.
Dude, so many people put that. Like, so many people. Like, people put in long paragraphs. They're like, do you think people are checking to see if you did that? Like,
some people doing it because of guilt.
I think if you posted it, you definitely, is that a guilt, without a doubt, logically speaking.
Unnecessary guilt, but yeah, they posting it for guilt, or they posting it to be seen, or they really might actually feel like they're doing something, which I don't have a problem with. But just realize what that's really doing before you just get involved and post things. Mm-hmm. You can always create change without having to do a social media shout out or having a public exploration of what you're trying to do. Mm-hmm. You can always make change right where you at. People may not see this as making change, but just letting a younger person that looks like you or trying to achieve the same goals as you, just having to talk with them, trying to lead them on the right path. Mm-hmm. Or just trying to lift somebody up, a younger person in your family, or even somebody older if they kind of don't know some things that you know, and just talking to them for a second, just to have them understand kind of what's going on or what they may need to do. I
feel that. Do you think, honestly, I mean, this ain't even a good question to ask, but I was thinking on myself. I was like, if you're like a 7-year-old kid, like, are your parents even talking to you about what's going on right now? I'm guessing they're kind of trying to shield you away from it. I mean, I would guess. I don't know.
Well, I'll put it to you this way. You can't hide the world from your kid, but for so long.
That's true.
So at some point, it's a lot of conversations right now talking about with their kids and their parents, like what's going on and what the world's about. But most likely, it's a lot of parents that aren't prepared, or they don't know themselves how the world really works, so they can't even have those conversations with their kid. Mm-hmm. So right now, it's just kind of, you're in a space of kind of limbo. It's like, you don't know what to say. And a lot of people don't even know, or find out they don't even know how to raise their kids right now. Oh, they ain't going to school. For sure. They ain't in summer camp.
I think that's another thing with 2020 is like, this was one of the main years where like a lot of people are, maybe not, I mean, not just me personally, but I know like a lot of other random people that I've just heard post about like suffering from a suicidal death. Like, somebody committing suicide that they used to, that they really cared about. Like what's, it's just like, I mean, I wouldn't blame it all on parenting. I would just say it definitely was a big part. It's definitely a big part of it.
Yeah.
I think the biggest issue with parenting is like, I think we all want to have a kid because we want to grow, we want to have our, I mean, personally for me, it's like having a mini version of yourself. You want to grow that man into like the best thing he can be and a better version of yourself, and give him a better life than you had, no matter how great your life was, just better, and, but like, I think naturally a parent also wants their kid to be better than themselves. And when they set the expectation so high, it just affects them. And like, sometimes those expectations come from something that they want nothing to do with, or they try to force them to be a younger version of them, what they could have been. They never let them really like get out and figure out who they are just individually or whatnot.
Well, from what I've been gathering, the information I've been gathering on the internet about people raising their kids is a lot of people don't factor in who they're having kids with and the environment they're having their kids in. Like, that's a big part of how a kid is raised.
Very true. Very true.
Who the mother and father is, and the relationship between them two, and where they're being raised at, and the conditions they're being raised under. It will shape them to do either come out on the good side or the bad side of life. And that would be either to their growth or their detriment. Like, you see a lot of people right now from in the past, well, I wouldn't say a lot, but people in the past that are in jail right now are probably a result of not having guidance or good parenting. Mm-hmm. They go to the streets because they don't have that figure at home to say, hey, you can do better, you can do this, that, and that, or here's what you need to do to become a man.
That's what I think about every time I go and I see somebody doing like a job that, and they're like about 20, 23, 24. They're doing a job that a 16, 17-year-old could do. And I just look at them and I just like, I don't know what happened in your life for this, for like, I wouldn't call it the government, but whatever system or whatnot. Like, I don't know what happened. I obviously think back to parenting, like you said, for you to not be able to see like your true value, essentially. You know, I don't think everybody's like, you know, everybody's true value isn't the potential to be a billionaire or a millionaire. It's just about like, you know, what you're actually really capable of, like what you care about and all that. I think it's crazy, like you said, if there's no parenting, then there's no figure for them to believe in themselves to think, hey, I'm more than just a 9 to 5, $10 per hour person. Like, some people really have just, you know, I don't know. But
it's a lot on decision making, end of the day.
Yeah.
What's the reason you're having kids? Why? And for what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's crazy because back to what we were talking about with the parenting and how you can't shield them from the world for only so long. You know, we come from a high school that's really big, and like it's more than what the high school experience would be. But every like you said, like, you can't hide things from the world. So every high school is pretty much the same. They have all of a lot of issues all over the place, and like, you know, I think with the way things are going right now, I don't know how to word this, but there should be a way for parents to like be able to prepare or like teach their kids about high school before they get to high school. Because I know I was just talking about it with my friends. They were like, hey, like, how did you know a lot of stuff about Broughton before you even got there? And like, how did you know like how the system worked and everything? And I was pretty much like, I wouldn't say I was told a full detail of how Broughton, you know, was with its social structure, whatnot. But my sister did tell me, and she was in your grade, I think. She was like, hey, I hope you don't get in trouble. Make wise decisions, and please choose your friends wisely. And I was like, what am I getting into? This is high school. What, how bad can this be? And she just told me, she was like, I had an assembly today, and it was literally an assembly for my entire grade because we were going insane, like party wise, drug wise, like bullying wise, like pretty much anything you could think of that had to do with high school. And she said it ended with a big food fight, and that canceled our lunch. And I was like, what privilege from a lunch could you have that gets it taken away? She was like, we can't have our lunches anymore.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
I was like, an hour lunch? I was like, that's like a whole class. I didn't even think things like that existed. And then I came in, I was like, oh, shit, 25 minutes.
It was something new they added. I think they were trying to, like, in combination with the hour lunch, help kids who were struggling with classes at the same time. So it was like a period where, I forgot what it was called, but it was a period where if you were behind in class, you can catch up on work when it was lunchtime. And then when you were done, you can go and have lunch. But everybody else in that time will have hour lunches, and then we'll switch off to the next group. Mm-hmm. However, to the food fight thing, I was there, but in the food fight, I didn't see it.
I know you heard about it though.
So I just heard about it the next day, and it was a major food fight. Teachers got hit in the back of the head. Some teachers fell.
Did you ever walk into the cafeteria to see how big the mess was, or did you didn't get to see that?
Fun fact, I never went to the cafeteria but twice in my high school career.
Wow.
That's when I stopped eating lunch, because in 8th grade, I found a hair in my lunch.
Oh
And
no. Oh no.
I didn't, from that day forward, or at least after that year ended, I never ate school lunch ever again unless I had to.
Oh my god.
So yeah, but yeah, it was a big food fight, and we were the precursors to the bad kids, so to speak, because our class was a little reckless, man.
Yeah, no. I really
Our
like.
class was a little
I think our
reckless.
parties were great. I was like, I can't imagine bro.
We
like, do y'all
kinda-
gotta like to get caught? Like to get? Oh my god.
We kind of set a bad precedent for y'all.
No, for real. Because to be honest, like there was this whole thing. Like there was this group called the Lobos and this other group, and people were just trying to keep up, they were trying to keep going what y'all had, like this whole like crowd thing or whatnot, and teeing up or what. I don't know. But yeah, nah. I think yeah. Yeah, your class was a bad rap, man. It wasn't bad.
Even though I didn't take part in it, I will say I apologize, but I can't apologize for our class. So just
Dude, oh my god. I think, but see, that's another thing is like
before you go, I'll put it to you this way:
Yeah.
we didn't do a good job of passing the knowledge on. Well, as a collective, we didn't do a good job of passing the knowledge off to y'all in the correct fashion.
no,
Because we didn't
no,
know y'all
y'all
neither. So it is what it is. But go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think a lot of parents. I think another issue with parenting is like a lot of parents, like we talking about, you can only shield. I keep going back to this. You can only shield your child for so long. Some parents love to give their child the impression that the world is perfect, that it's all sunshine and rainbows, and they can only do it for so long, unless you're like a powerful ass parent and you got money like that and you can do whatever you want. But like, essentially, like I think parents should like, I don't know, like there has to be a way for you to like just prepare your child for that. Like high school is just so unpredictable. Like you can't even describe it in words. You just know you're going to go through essentially hell. Just hell.
Well, it depends on who you're involved with and how you look at high school. Granted, I would say my high school was my lesser experience, but I would say that I was kind of ready for it, I would say.
Yeah, I just think I think like I said, like the way people communicate from middle school to high school, it just all changes up, from some people call it fake. Some people, and essentially that's what it is. But this is more like, it's like networking now. You're nice to somebody in high school or whatnot, or like most people were, and like, it's not because like in middle school everybody was nice to everybody. It seemed like I don't think there was really any bullying in middle school unless you were like really like putting yourself in a position to be bullied. You ever think about that? Like I personally, I don't believe in bullying. I think if you I think bullying exists, but I wouldn't even call it bullying at that point. I would just call it like almost assaulting, like verbal assault, physical assault. I just think at a child age, but like if you let yourself be bullied, you know what I mean? Like if you're putting yourself in a position where you're getting bullied every day and you keep coming back at it, is it really their fault? I personally don't think so.
Well, let me speak from somebody that has been in those shoes. So, bullying does exist. Getting bullied sucks, but you're gonna always have to fight that person. That's the only way they'll respect you. You gotta fight them. I'm just being honest. You have to fight them. You gotta fight them. That's the only way it ends.
Gotta go find the gloves.
You have to
Get the
fight.
ring.
You have to fight.
I don't care what they tell you.
Whether it's verbal or physical, you have to fight. Because that person is not going away. That person is hating on you because you got something that they don't have.
I think bullying's. I think it's funny because like as I matured over the years, I finally understand. Like I always knew bullying was real. I just never understood. I had different perspectives on how I took it, and like now that I know for the most part that most bullying is just because somebody's like insecure about themselves and they feel the need to take their anger out on another person, or they feel the need to make somebody feel worse so they can feel better about themselves just in general. You know, I think that speaks to like, you know, back to the parenting thing. Like even bullying exists because of bad parenting. Like why, you know, and it comes to hurt somebody who who's the child of a parent who's being shielded by them and just doesn't know things like that. It's just parenting is everywhere, bro.
Because I had to learn a lot of things. I got taught things. I got taught enough things in life, but I had to learn most of the stuff on the fly. I had to learn how to fight on the fly. I had to learn how to deal with bullies on the fly. I had to learn how to deal with women on the fly.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of things that I was told, but it wasn't a in-depth lesson of those situations. I just had to learn on the fly. Mm-hmm. So that led to some of what I deal with in my older life.
I think that's another thing is like most people are like we and it's just it just so happens this goes back to shielding your child as a parent. I think it's crazy because like people who like get shielded by their parents don't know how to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like they're so accustomed to being shielded when something happens that they intuitively have to react and protect themselves, whether it be verbal abuse, whether it just be a question. They just don't know. They're just paused. You ever like catch people just there, like they're literally starstruck. They don't know what to do. And most of those people end up having, what do they call it? Stage fright. Why? Because all their parents ever did was, you know, they wanted, I don't know. I couldn't speak on it specifically, but it definitely was something.
Well, I'll put it to you like this. People whose parents kind of have them sheltered. That's why when you see, for example, like when chicks go to college and they just wild out because they don't have parental guidance anymore. Mm-hmm. They're exposed to the world, and now they're just doing what they want because they can, but they weren't before. So you have a moment when you're growing up. Your parents are always telling you what to do, what you can't do. You can't do this, can't do that. You can't go there because of whatever the reason. Or you can't go this place, can't hang out with these people. But now you grow up and you're in an environment where all these types of people that are around that can do anything they want to lead you to your detriment. And you don't know how to react to these people, so you just fall in the crowd and you
exactly, or you try to follow the leader and not seem stupid or just fit exactly, and that ends up in turn like pushing you away from who you really are. I mean, nobody knows who they really are, but if there is one thing that can affect you knowing who you are, it's putting yourself somewhere you definitely aren't. Definitely, or yeah, you get the point.
Yeah.
And like that's why like I hate when like I see a bunch of like, or I have friends, or like I talk to like my younger siblings or younger siblings of, or younger children of parents who've shielded them, because I'm like, you know, sooner or later you're gonna have to fail. You're gonna take the L. The day you take that L, God bless your soul, because you're gonna be crying, you're gonna be whining, you might call the cops, you might get a bat and beat somebody's ass and just kill them or something. You know what I'm saying? It just so happens that a lot of people who've done crazy things have been in the most sheltered homes, have had the best records of, you know, he would never do something like that.
Let's talk about the Bulls documentary since you brought it up.
Okay.
So what were your thoughts about the documentary, man?
Tell you the truth, I'm a big MJ fan. I've probably watched like 5 documentaries before that about MJ that my dad bought when he used to go see his games. I never knew Stockton hit a game winner on MJ in his face. Nobody ever told me that. You would think, like on some no racial shit, actually is pretty racial shit. You would think white people would talk about that more. Like, hey, Stockton forced a game 6 in MJ's face off a buzzer beater. Why didn't no one tell me that? I'm sorry, but like, why did it take so long for me to figure that out? Because when I saw that, I was like, bro. People didn't really like. You hear jazz. Most people nowadays hear jazz and they think Karl Malone, and then they look at Stockton and he's a great point guard. But like, you know, just by the look of him, you would never think he was capable of that. I think it definitely, the MJ documentary, even though it definitely shed some light on a lot of bad things about his career. I think it was really good for his legacy just because it explained a couple questions. What about you? What do you think?
I think it was a good way of storytelling. Because I kind of like how they kind of... at first, I thought it was just going to be a Michael Jordan documentary. Because the way they were showing it at first, I'm like, oh. But I saw what they were doing. They were going into, like, the main important players, kind of past history, and then tying it all together to that season. So I kind of like that aspect of them, like, tying it together that way. That was pretty cool to me, looking at it from a film perspective. But as a basketball fan, just looking at it, I was like, oh, it's cool to watch.
Yeah.
And now y'all know that LeBron is not better than Jordan, and y'all can stop having these conversations.
You know, the funny thing is, like, I was arguing about this literally the other night. They're like talking about just everyone good talks about it. You know, how many, it's always the finals, you know, he's gone to so many finals. You can't deny the greatness. You know, we people forget that, like, this man, forget the Celtics with Bird and all those guys and the Hall of Fame Pistons. Forget those. This man had to play Shaq and Penny when Penny was nice. Now, most people immediately tell me that was young Shaq. And you know what? The first thing that pops in my head, there's this video on TNT. I remember what it was about. It was about Shaq and how he didn't think he deserved to be a top 50 player of all time his rookie year. And literally every single player, whether it been Charles Barkley, Kenny, Kevin Garnett, was like, I'm sorry, Shaq, but you were chosen to be a top 50 player of all time since rookie year because you deserved it. Like, they couldn't deny it. They said you were a top 50 player as a rookie all time, no question. And, you know, I can't say I could disagree. I mean, that is Shaq.
But one thing that held Shaq back from achieving what he could have as a player was his jealousy issues.
What jealousy issues? You talking about the Kobe jealousy thing? And Penny. What? I don't remember that one with Penny.
That's why.
I thought Penny was just because he was injured and Shaq didn't want to wait on him.
Nah, it was because if you look back at their history, Penny was the first one that got like the commercials and the publicity, and he was dating Tyra Banks at the time.
Oh yeah, and he had like a cartoon, he had the little action figure.
So yeah, and Shaq left.
Yeah,
and that's why Penny got injured, because there was so much of the load was on Penny after Shaq left. That's why his body started to deteriorate.
Yeah, I think it's crazy because when you look at Shaq, you don't really think of a smart guy, but to be honest, I think he's a perfect example of somebody who doesn't need to be book smart to know how to make money. Like, forget his, like, you know, the millions that he made off the NBA. Like, you know, this man really was doing school while he was in the NBA. Like, this man was getting his MBA. Like, I don't know.
Let's get some spanking.
Shout out to Shaq, man.
Shout out to Shaq, bro. That man's about to be a billionaire. You know, his investment on Ring got him like $300 million. That was like just Ring. Amazon bought it for like $3 billion, and he got like $200 million off the cut.
Yeah, not surprised, man.
Yeah, no, I think that's another reason, or that was definitely another reason why I wanted to get interested in stocks. You know, especially with the way the world is now. We were just talking about the Corona. First thing I said to my dad when Corona hit was, "Can you let me borrow some money?" And he was like, "I'll only let you borrow it if it's for a good reason." And it's usually about basketball. My basketball career is over, so I don't have that good excuse anymore. So I just had to tell him. I was like, "Hey, stocks are going to shit because of the recession." Or I didn't know it was going to be a recession. All I knew was, hey, logically, if stores close down, like if you literally can't go into a store and you literally physically can't sell your product, there's no way your value stays the same without going like down significantly of some amount. And sure enough, they did. First thing I did with my check that month before I knew I had to move back home was start buying stocks. And yeah, I think I think right now with like Corona and recession, companies are looking at people to buy in more than ever. And I was given a hint that from a friend that during a recession, it's meant for like people to buy in on stocks just because companies have no choice but to depend on people to stay afloat. Yeah.
But I'll say the interesting thing about the time now is it's a lot of money being printed and thrown around. I was reading the other day they had to borrow $2 trillion to help these people out here, and it doesn't look like it's gonna be on the up and up anytime soon. So when people talk about it's about to be a new normal, that may be to the extreme. Like all these businesses that had to close, they may never come back.
For sure.
Some of the majors as well. The music industry, they not paying people till 2021.
Sheesh.
Or maybe longer than that.
Yeah, no, people can't do tours still yet.
Until 2021.
Yeah.
And it may be longer than that because everybody don't know where the tide's really going to go after this year's over.
Seriously.
We have 6 months still. We don't know what else is about to happen. A lot of stuff, a lot more stuff probably is and could happen before the year is up.
Yeah, for real. I think it's crazy that I think it's a bit ironic. We always end up wanting to expect a little bit better every year as the year go by. But on the contrary, it seems to be the opposite. Everything keeps just getting a little bit worse and worse every year.
Well, that's life, though.
It is life. It is life. At some point, I ask myself, is it just that I'm getting older, that life's starting to suck more? Or is it just that like the world that I'm living in itself is just becoming a little bit shittier? Nah, it's definitely both. It's definitely both. A little bit of both. You know, just all these responsibilities piling up and the way the world's going, just adding more unnecessary responsibilities out of nowhere. But hey, you gotta adapt. I think this is, if anything, I look at it this from like an optimistic perspective. Although I do feel sorry and I have sympathy for a lot of people who are not gonna make it through this pandemic. I'm looking at this as an opportunity to take advantage of whatever opportunities have opened up for me because they have closed for someone else. It sucks, but at the end of the day, that is kind of life, you know. You know, think about all those jobs that people are losing right now that will come back eventually. That person just they can't pay their rent at the location of where their job is right now, so they have to move back with their parents, for instance, like me. But, you know, just, yeah, no. Life is definitely not going to be like it used to be, because like the first thing I'm thinking is when places open back up, it's gonna be like it's gonna be a Hunger Games for jobs. Like applications will not stop rolling in, and like honestly, how will people like? I don't even know how you would start as a manager, because you know you're just gonna have so many applications flying in. Like so many people just out of a job just now trying to get back. But yeah, even with school, like think about it with school. Like I know I'm coming back in August. But, like, are we still going to have sporting events? Or am I just going to be, like, going to, like, a small class every now and then? I don't know. I also think it's funny because, like, you know, we used to sneeze. We're so accustomed to seeing people sneeze. But after this, I don't think people are going to want to sneeze in public like that anymore.
Yeah. I'll put it to you like this, man. It's going to be a lot of changes that's going to happen. But, some people gonna be all right, some people are not, and you know, good, bad, and indifferent. That's just how life is gonna be for the next time going in. And to anybody out there that needs words of guidance or something to look forward to, just know that life has a lot of moments that you go through and that will be in your passing, but you may or may not pull through. Just being honest with you. If you're meant to pull through, you'll pull through. If you're not meant to pull through, you're not going to pull through. Mm-hmm. That's just how it is. It is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah, no, I think it's funny because like my friend was looking for some quarantine guidance from me the other day because he's just a video game addict and he finally caught to his senses. He was like, Serge, I realized I'm not doing anything like playing these video games all day. And I was like, okay, cool. Like what are you asking me for? What are you trying to talk about? He was like, well, I just want to know, how did you find your routine? Or like, how do you discipline yourself to keep doing what you're doing? And how did you figure out that you loved it so much? Like what pointed that towards you? And I was like, I don't think there is a clear answer for that. I pretty much told him, but I was like, what I can tell you is that, I wouldn't even call it a routine. If you asked me, I would be like, it's just my life. Essentially, that's what it is. I think my life is literally just my life. Like if you're like, I think if I have to plan a routine every day and have to like literally force myself and feel like I'm forcing myself to do it like a routine every day, then I don't think it was ever for me. Because personally, like I just naturally find myself doing it, I think because out of interest, I'd naturally have fun with it and whatnot. So that's kind of what I told him, and I was like, "You'll just literally just keep yourself away from the video games, and just find what you're interested in." Like I just think like naturally you'll pick what you're literally more interested in, because why? Who's just gonna watch something they're not interested in, or who's just gonna like literally do something like it sucks to say it's your fault, but hey, maybe if you're doing this all day, maybe you're just a video game at. Maybe like me, I told him I was like, maybe you should do graphic design or something like that. I don't know, but yeah.
Well, just from another person's shoes, I can give said person advice. If this person ever finds this moment in the podcast, this will be at minute 54 maybe. So as far as routines, because I have a routine myself that I got into. So just as far as figuring out what you like to do, what you want to do, just try a lot of stuff that you think you're interested in. Just figure out the stuff that you watch or you pay attention to all the time, and just try stuff that's related to that. And if you find something else along the way that you feel you're interested in, just keep trying that and that, because you have time. We all got time right now to figure out what we're trying to do.
We have more than enough. Yeah, nah. I think what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So like I was talking to my cousin the other day, and he asked me pretty much the same thing my friend Wesley asked me. I mean, we're all in college. I feel like we're all just trying to really figure out what we want to study, or what we essentially want to be in the future as our main career. And he was like, hey, oh yeah, he was like, hey, Serge, I just want to know, like, how do you he didn't word it like this, but essentially what he was trying to say is, how do you have so many friends, and how did you find friends who are like interested in what you like to do, and how do you always like, pretty much he was like, how do you always know and get what you want? Because it always seems like I tell him about what I want and what I want to know, and later on in the week or the month, I get back to him and I tell him, hey, this is what I found out, this is what I learned, and this is how I got it, and this is now I got it. And I tell him, I'm like, I think the biggest key, and my friend's girlfriend or my friend's sister's boyfriend told me this, and he's like a business owner, and I was like, what do you think's the most, like, because he was going to be a lawyer, but fortunately he was in a situation where his dad gave him a job and he could bail out on it, and I pretty much asked him, was like how do I network? That's what I was trying to tell him. I wasn't trying to network with him. I was literally like, I don't want you to be my network. I want you to teach me how to network. And he was more than like happy to help me with trying to give me advice, and all he could say, but essentially what his point was at the end was, read a lot and figure out how to communicate. And I was like, I don't get it. Like, I really don't. Like, how could something so plain and simple be such a good, valid point? And he was like, because look at it this way. You don't know what you want, but when eventually you will figure it out. If you really want it that bad, you won't stop thinking about it, and you will figure out specifically what you want. And once you figure out specifically what you want, and you have the ability to communicate to the people who can help you, and you're able to tell them directly, because he said time is money, and people who can help you normally have money and they don't have a lot of time. So if you're able to figure out those right words and how to communicate correctly and tell them precisely what you want, then there won't be any time wasted, and you can get to doing that or obtaining whatever you want. And that's when I was like, this all makes sense to me. This all makes sense now. Because anytime like I've ever like not gotten something, it's because I wasn't able to tell them what I was always like, even from a gift, I couldn't communicate properly with my parents, and I got the wrong gift, and I was like, crap, you know, damn. Just a small example.
Yeah, it's like you know how people go on dates and they trying to figure out what restaurant they want to go to.
Yeah.
And nobody knows where they want to go, so they just end up picking something and nobody likes what the fuck they have. So.
Or like when people try to date people and they feel like they got to act a certain way to get like get along with that person really nice, and then they just have to, because you know you can only act for so long before you act who you really are. And then the other person notices it, and then their relationship just starts to crumble, and then the other person gets upset, and it's just like, bro, like, if it was an act, why do you believe this girl or this guy is a good match for you if you really had to act and you got caught? You know what I'm saying? You got caught in your own act. You know, I think that's, because personally, I would like to believe that I found a girl that I will most likely want to marry, and she was one of the last girls I ever thought I would ever think about dating or possibly ever getting into a serious relationship. And what do you know? It was literally the girl I was never at. I literally told her my issues. I was genuinely the person I was. And she would just listen to me all the time. And for some reason, she would never run away. Like, I would go crazy. Like, she dealt with some shit, bro. Like, she dealt with some crazy shit. And she never ran away from trying to be that person to help me out and support me. And throughout the years, she's seen me improve from her advice and from just learning from my own mistakes. And I think throughout that, I just really found out, I was like, hey, like, it's not that difficult. It's not as difficult as most people seem. Because I was trying so hard to find someone for me, and then when I stopped trying and I just start focusing on myself, that person naturally came out. Yeah.
As they say, life is simple, but it's never easy.
Yeah, for real.
So.
I think,
all right. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think that's another issue, is like with parenting, is like we have a lot of parents who are like here, like they, like you said, they either became a parent with the wrong person, or like, you know, some are just premature parents. They're way too young to be parents, and those parents eventually end up generally being the ones who take simple answers to their kids. They give them simple answers. They're like, hey, this is a simple answer. It'll suffice for you to stop, you know, for you to go away. Why? I don't want to explain the complicated answer right now.
Yeah, man. You got a lot of parents out here that ain't meant to be parents. You got 30-year-old grandmas.
No, for real. Yeah. I got 3 friends right now that are parents. 3 of them. They're all 19.
Yeah, I happen to know one that's a young parent too. Actually, a few. You know, so I get it. My homie's having a battle with his dog right now.
For real. Sit down. I will.
Yikes.
Yeah, now you know I mean business.
Like I said, that's why I'm not
Yeah.
gonna ever have any animals in my presence, because that's just not my style. But I get they have their uses though, so I ain't mad at it. But I don't like that annoyance.
I just think it helps me with disciplining myself because as I see this little guy or little girl right here acting all childish and immature reminds me of like my young self sometimes. Because, you know, it's like I'm almost a parent already.
Yeah.
No, I'll still beat that ass though. Oh my god. Yeah.
Got anything else you want to talk about, man?
Yeah, let me think. Oh yeah, the election. God damn, the election, dude. I didn't think we would get to two. Who knew we would get to two candidates so fast? It's not usually like this. Not usually like this, but here we go. It just got the quick battle, Biden and Trump. Trump. I think the biggest joke that my friends won't stop saying is, you got a choice to make: pedophile or rapist. You got to face the odds. And I was just there like,
yo,
what?
Nah, that's just funny.
Yeah, no, I was just there like, I hope you're really not looking at it just that way.
Well, I mean,
but
either.
I think I will say, I think I do agree with like the political point that joke is trying to make. Neither candidate is like last year or like the last election. Neither candidate is great whatsoever. It's just like now we're just forced to settle. Like, since think about that. When were we ever forced to settle in an election? It seems like it's only been like the last two elections we were like, yeah, just gonna have to make a choice real quick. Like, we're not set in stone. We're literally just like, oh, can't believe it.
Well, that's why I will never take part in an election ever again, because I know some bullshit. I know it is.
That man Andre said, I voted, I won, my vote won, I ain't get the
I didn't care about it the first time I did it. I didn't care about it 2016. I was forced to do it. I got guilt tripped into doing it.
I'm weak.
I'm never doing it again. Hillary Clinton was the one that helped put that crime bill in place that made a lot of people that look like me get in jail for way longer than they were supposed to. And Biden was also a part of it too. So middle fingers up to both of them. And that's how I feel about it. And like I said, the first time when Trump got elected, he is not going to stop me from making money. And I'm going to say that every single election, every single time. They will not stop me from making my money and doing whatever I want to do to make my impact on this world. That's a fact. I don't care how you feel about it.
Hey, stop. Right, I'm letting you out.
And that's my piece on it, though.
Yeah, I think it's a bit ironic because I was just talking about this girl, and one of the questions I asked her the other day when I was hanging out with her was, hey, in my head I was thinking this girl's Hispanic. Like, I mean, she is half white, but she's mainly Hispanic. Or that's the side of her family that she mainly like associates with. So I was assuming Democratic side, like so guessing Biden, but no, first thing she said was Trump. And I was just there like, sheesh. I was just there like, you know, it's just so ironic. Like, first thing you heard when Trump got elected was, oh, why'd we elect him? Why'd we elect him? Like, can't wait till he gets out. 4 years will be quick. We'll be done in no time. You know, now that it seems the term is coming to an end, all I'm hearing is, oh, well, I guess we'll have to reelect him again. And it won't be that bad. Like,
well,
I'll just be like, hey, what happened? Like, did something? Like, nah, but I don't like either party, to be honest. I couldn't take either side. I just hate them both so much. It's just, you know, I just can't help but like believe we've gotten to the point where like there really is just like a big population of people who don't want to participate like you, but feel that they have no choice but to participate in it because it's their duty, you know? And
it's an alleged duty.
it's an alleged, yeah.
Alleged duty. because this world was built on a lot of cap. America is
That's
cap.
for sure.
America is not a country; it's a corporation. United States of America, Inc.
United States of America. United States Bank of America.
United States of America, Inc. Yeah, we don't even own our own birth certificates. Fun fact. We are all bonds. That's why when people go to jail, they get a number. That's their bond number.
We're all bonds.
And they build on until their value goes to a certain amount, and then they get out once it's paid.
Yeah, nah. Yeah, nah. I personally figured out how much of a corporation America was through the legal system, through personal experience. I was like, why is it that there are lawyers that get paid like $1,000 and they put you in a program that you could put yourself in, and then there are lawyers who you can pay like $10,000 and then you can just talk to the DA, give them a little quick, hey, it's my favor. You know me from high school, or you know me from college or whatnot, and it'll be done like that. No, there's no community service, none of that. It's just dismissed, like no questions asked. And that's when, and that's when I was like, wow, like this really is just capitalism. Like,
Cream, get the money, dollar bill, y'all.
Because I just remember like talking to my teammates in mock trial team. They're like, hey, what lawyer do you want to be? Hey, what lawyer do you want to be? And the last thing anybody said was public defender. And I was just there like what's wrong with a public defender? And it's just and like pretty much what everybody said, like discreetly in nicer terms, was, well, then you can't really charge, like, then you really can't take advantage of people's situations. I'm sorry. You can't force them to pay you more money because their life's at stake. That's pretty much what it was. And at that point, I was like, okay, I get it. Capitalism, business, like learn how to take advantage of people. I got this. Say less.
That's the game, man.
And so as soon as we were talking about it, they were like, so Serge, what lawyer do you want to be? I was like, corporate lawyer. And they were like, oh, so like, what's your main purpose or intent for the future of your clients? I was like, oh, they're just going to make a bunch of big businesses like force me to give me money to keep secrets that they've told me already. And it was just like, they were like, really? I was like, yeah. I was like, that's pretty much it. I was like, because if I am going to be taking advantage of people, I might as well take advantage of rich people who are just keeping dirty secrets in the wraps because of people like me, or future people like, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, snap.
So, yeah, I think it speaks. I think capitalism in the USA speaks to itself or to everyone when you can literally make money off playing video games. You can make money off just making a website for Amazon, like, or just literally just promoting stuff, like literally like anything.
As my dad always tells me, it's a lot of money out here. You just got to figure out how to get it.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. That's for sure. I think a lot of people get lost on the lifestyle that they want to live instead of the purpose of their life and the money that they need, to do what they need to do, or to take care of the people they need to take care of. And I think that's why like so many people don't get the whole capitalist system, because they're just like, like you said, we're influenced by people who put on narratives against us. And when people aren't educated, they tend to believe those narratives right off the bat. And they think that they're worth less than they really are. And they just so accustomed. And by that, I mean, like, they narrative, like, for example, narrative, this and that, like, people in China are poor, Indians are poor. So if you're like a person making like middle-aged income and you live in like a poor apartment or whatnot, and you can play video games and smoke weed all day, you probably love it. You probably like think you're living life. You probably think you're the shit whenever you go out to eat and buy some nice meal. But like realistically, like you might be in like the 2%, like you might be in the 2% or the 5% of the rich people in the world. But like in America, you're really just like that. You're really just like like any other 99%. You know, you've just been told by the media and all that constantly that, hey, you're not that much of a bum. Like,
Yeah, life's all about perspective, man. Yeah. And what you do or don't know about what's going on around you.
yeah, I think that's why I know I just told you this earlier and I was going to mention it, but that's another reason why I even started the channel was because I remember my cousins just asking me a bunch of questions, and by channel, I mean, I'm referring to a YouTube channel, and I'm going to go more in depth about it. Like I was saying, the reason I started this channel was because I kept getting questions from cousins from Mexico and friends from my cousins, like friends who were like, "Oh shit, you have like a cousin who like actually has assimilated himself into an American lifestyle, like in a very like Americanized like city where it's like very like Southern, you know, it's not Western. It's not like there's any type of like, no, this is still like, we're still like, it's still a pretty much old school atmosphere with like I don't even know how to describe it, but yeah, so they would ask me these questions because like we all know this in this day and age, it's a world of immigrants. Everyone's immigrating everywhere. Everyone's deciding where they want to be and where they want to live. And most people decide to immigrate to America. Why? Because like you said, it's capitalism. Like everybody knows the money is here. Money is everywhere. And most people from poor countries, what do you know? They're like, hey, a bunch of lazy bums over there just settling to smoke weed in a small apartment. Hey, I can do better than that if I get over there. So, but yeah, long story short is I kept getting these questions and I have to constantly take phone calls and explain it, repeat it several times. And I was just like, you know, I really wish I had somebody that would have explained some of these things and these differences that come in America and how life is before my parents got here. Because if they knew about all this stuff beforehand, they would have like, you know, they would have acted on certain things differently that would have been necessary or would have improved my life a lot better. And, you know, that's why I decided to create the channel. Cause like, you know, I think with America, like, you know, it's all about trying to like, with the way America's like, you know, like you said, it's built on a lot of cap, and the cap was centralized around racism, essentially. And I think the thing with America is that, you know, a lot of people hate when like America starts getting, I don't know, like it's just like you said, the cap still remains, and it's difficult to adapt when the cap is still left there. So, you know, my hope is that this YouTube channel will help all young Hispanics growing up in cities like Raleigh and going to high schools or middle schools like I did, and be able to be like, hey, I'm not as different, or it's not as difficult as it seems, or this is an example of someone who was able to, or this is an example of someone who was able to see beyond what most people thought, you know, open the perspective of them and like let them understand, you know, because I personally, from my experience, I think most Hispanics come here and they think, yeah, I'm gonna make a lot of money, I'm gonna send it back to Mexico or whatever Hispanic country I am, take care of my family. I think that's the short term goal, but you know, I think what most people wish they could do, or most people try and do and essentially end up failing, is that they try to create a family here and make it a long-term goal. Throughout that journey, it's just so difficult because, you know, it's just a whole different world. And yeah, so on my channel, I pretty much go in depth about how high school is and how the education system is in America, and like, and yeah,
just how what the typical issues are in the life of high school.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. You had an idea, you had an audience, and you're trying to put out content that your audience can actually go to and reach and support you, either financially, just casually, virtually, and all that stuff.
Yeah,
I think that's great.
Yeah,
real talk.
And it's always been there. Like I said, these things that I do, they don't come planned. They literally come out the woodworks because of the life I am, the life I'm living, and I think that's why. Like my friend said the other day, or his girlfriend, his sister's boyfriend, he said, life is about positioning yourself in where you need to be or where you want to be or whatnot. And like, ever since, or like even in high school, like my community service for college, what I had as my community service was going to poor neighborhoods like in Durham, where they would have like this thing called El Centro Hispano, the Central Hispanic community. It's like the Boys and Girls Club for Hispanics. And I would tutor them and teach them English and read them books in English and help them in their math and try to basically explain to them what their life was. Because, it's one way. I didn't know how different my life was for being the child of a Hispanic or of an immigrant, an undocumented immigrant. It's just so, so like thinking back to that, that's kind of another reason why I did it, was because I was like, I wish I could do more. I can't constantly go to Durham because I have to fulfill. I still have my own personal life and responsibilities I got to deal with. But yeah, no, it's just always been there. Like I didn't just plan it or just come up with it because I thought it would be cool. Like it just naturally came out because, like yeah, it's a tough world out here, and some people really do need the help. And I think I'm blessed. I'm grateful to be blessed and have the opportunity to be able to do things that most people can't.
Like I've been saying during this whole time, man, if you're still be here after all this is over, you're here for a reason. And so I think I want to wrap on that. And got one final little message. We all have a special talent or gift that we possess within ourselves. And we all have some type of audience that would like to hear our voice or see what we do to have them have a better look on what they're trying to do for their futures as well. And most of us probably shouldn't be trying to make ourselves in the corporate world unless that's what you want to do. So I say that to say this. We all have something we can make money off of to make better lives for ourselves. So during life, hopefully, if you don't know what that is already, or at least try to figure it out, keep doing that and figure on to actually have to get financial and make money off what you do to have a better life for you and your people. Now, as far as dealing with certain things, like, of course, what's going on right now with the protests and the Rona, just be safe and get knowledge on what you can do to really change besides what's been done already. Even though marching and protesting is cool, as we've seen through history, it really hasn't changed anything, sadly. So I just hope people actually plan to strategize what they really want to do that can actually help and for the betterment. And that has a lot of effect with spiritually and historically.
Okay. My last message is just pretty much during this quarantine to everybody who's just like, okay, I lost my train of thought. All right, my last message is just that if you have any ideas of what you're interested in, or if you have anything that you have to fulfill or any responsibilities or things you have to learn, my recommendation would be to take your time out take a small bit of your time out of every day and just, try and put some effort and time into it. Because I'm going to just say it in simplest terms, nobody, and when I mean nobody, can study for 4 hours or 5 hours straight. Or maybe some people can, but not the not the average person. And naturally, I found myself that I couldn't study 5 hours a day, but if I spanned out those 5 hours in a week, I mean, it was pretty easy. I don't know, but yeah, just whatever you're interested, just keep going up to that next level. I mean, the information's there. You just gotta find it.
All right, man. Yeah. That's episode 39 of the DZN Podcast, man. Yeah. Appreciate y'all for coming out, listening, whoever y'all are. If you want to shout out your social medias, do it now, or where people can find you at. Serge, go ahead if you need to shout out your social medias, where people can find you.
Social media is at Sergio_2345 Instagram. And yep, that's it.
All right, as always, if you want to find the DZN Podcast, you can find us on Instagram at d.z.n.podcast on Instagram, on Twitter, DZN Podcast. And if you want to listen to each episode of our podcast from 1 to 39, we are on YouTube, DZN Podcast Network, Spotify, DZN Podcast, Apple Podcast, DZN Podcast, Stitcher Radio, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, wherever your podcast platforms are that listen to podcasts, we are there. And if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram at retrod.r.e. And you can follow me on Twitter at retrodre_. And you can follow Zoe at young_Pluto08. And you can follow Nas at nv.z_. And last message, I want everybody to be safe out there, man. We all know it's a lot going on, and it's a lot about to be going on for this year's up. So just be safe, be vigilant, do your research, man, and just enjoy life as much as you can, man, because you never know how much time you got left. And yeah, it's the DZN Podcast. Yeah.
Dude, I'm not lying when I say you could sell that beat for so much money, bro. Like, that beat is worth money. Jesus Christ.
We're about to play another one right now for the outro.
Listen to my ears. It's on like 2 minutes.
DZN Podcast. Yeah. DZN Podcast, episode 39, DZN Podcast. DZN Podcast, episode 39, DZN Podcast. It's the DZN Podcast, episode 39, DZN Podcast. DZN Podcast, episode 39, DZN Podcast. Talk about music, sports, life, everything. Talk about some culture. Whatever we need, whatever we just want, we talk about it on the DZN Podcast, you know. We make it on the DZN Podcast. Talk about whatever on the DZN Podcast. Music, sports, college life, all that on the podcast. We just do it on the DZN Podcast. Conversate, play music, rap sometimes. You know how we ready do it. On the DZN Podcast, hit the record button, talk on the podcast. DZN Podcast, episode 39, DZN Podcast. DZN Podcast, episode 39, DZN Podcast. It's the DZN Podcast, episode 39, DZN Podcast. I don't know the title of this yet, but it's episode 39 on the mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Mic check on the DZN Podcast. Though, already know, I click buttons, see the levels up, and it's DZN Podcast. You already know. Put the laws on the mics that we go. And we do what we gotta do on each podcast. You know how we move. It's the DZN Podcast. Know how we do it on the DZN Podcast. It's the DZN Podcast. Know how we do it on the DZN Podcast. Episode 39. Episode 39. Episode 39. Episode 39. DZN. 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 Your grandma gonna listen to it. Your baby mama like listen to it. Everybody might listen to it. And you gonna listen to it. Peace. DZN Podcast, episode 39. We out. Yeah.